In March 2002, after completing her Ph.D. in the US, Shannon and her husband returned to her parents' home after 5 years away. The whole family was excited to see her. But while Shannon and her husband were taking a nap, her father suddenly entered the room with an axe and attacked them. Welcome to Red Eastern True Crime. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to my channel. Let's dive into this story. In June 1972, a baby girl was born in a small village in Zhao County, Yantai City, Shandong Province. Her parents named her Zhao Qingxiang. We will call her Shannon. The economic conditions in China in the 1970s were very poor, especially in rural areas. Shannon's parents, who were farmers with little education, were not happy about her birth. Shannon's father, Zhao Yuling, was ashamed of not having a son and believed that people in the village gossiped about him. He was often unkind to his wife and often said that Shannon was a burden. After nights of hard work, Zhao finally got his wish and had a son when Shannon was 2 years old. He even managed to save some money from their poor household to throw a celebration. But just 2 years later, the son came down with meningitis. Initially, the doctor misdiagnosed him with a cold due to recurring fevers, which delayed proper treatment. By the time the misdiagnosis was corrected, the son had developed epilepsy. Zhao and his wife devoted most of their energy and money to caring for their son, adding to the financial burden of their already struggling family. Shannon received no love from her parents from a young age and did not even live with them. At the age of 2, she was sent to live with her grandmother until she was returned to her parents' home when she started elementary school. After school, she had to help with farm work, housework, and taking care of her brother. If her father, Zhao, was not satisfied with her, she would be scolded and physically punished. Shannon was very smart and diligent in her studies. She believed that working hard in school was the only way for her to get out of the poor village. Despite having more chores than other children, she maintained excellent grades. The wall at home was filled with her awards, hoping her parents would be proud. But Zhao didn't think girls needed to study for too long and considered it a waste of money. He believed that it was enough for her to be able to read, since she would eventually marry and become part of another family. In 1987, Shannon was the top scorer in the village and was accepted into the county's prestigious high school. But when Zhao found out, he didn't agree with Shannon continuing her education. He believed that girls in the village finishing junior high school was enough. He wanted Shannon to start work outside, earn money, and send some back home. Shannon, at 15, was very sad and begged her father, knowing she couldn't continue if he really disagreed. Fortunately, Shannon's relatives and teachers convinced Zhao. They pointed out Shannon's excellent grades and mentioned that the government would offer her a job after college, possibly as a cadre, so she could earn more for the family. After hearing this, Zhao agreed to let Shannon continue her high school education. In 1987, Shannon left the village and went to school in the county town. She used her family's money to pay for tuition, but had to find ways to make ends meet. For 3 years, she worked every break to earn money. Her brother, who was 2 years younger, had health problems and was spoiled by their parents. He dropped out after junior high school and found a job in a nearby town. In 1990, at the age of 18, Shannon excelled in her studies and was accepted into the chemistry department at Nankai University in Tianjin. She became the first female college student from her village. Nankai University was one of the top universities in China, and in the 80s and 90s, getting into a prestigious university was a major achievement due to low acceptance rates. The news spread quickly in the village, and many people went to Zhao's house to congratulate him. But Zhao looked worried again. He even advised Shannon not to go, saying the family couldn't afford to support her education anymore because all the money was spent on her brother's medical treatment. Shannon pleaded with her father again, promising to apply for scholarships and work part-time to earn money, so she wouldn't have to rely on her father for financial support. Recognizing the potential for higher earnings with a college degree, Zhao finally agreed. During her first 2 years of college, Shannon still needed financial support from her family. Zhao's income from farming wasn't enough to pay all the bills, so he and his son worked at construction sites in the county town to earn extra money moving bricks. He looked forward to his daughter graduating from college, getting a job, and providing a better life for him. Every time Shannon asked her father for money to cover her living expenses, she received harsh criticism. She never went home during her 4 years of college. She applied for scholarships from the school and worked as a tutor in addition to her classes, keeping herself busy every day. Eventually, by her junior year, her scholarship and part-time job income were enough to cover her tuition and living expenses, and she was able to save some money to send home to her parents. Despite the stress of balancing academics and finances, Shannon managed to maintain excellent grades. In her senior year, Shannon met the love of her life, Wei Bing, who was from Tianjin, the city where her university was located. They were classmates in the same major, and Bing was attracted to Shannon's kindness, strength, and independence. He persisted in pursuing her, but Shannon was initially reluctant to enter into a relationship with him because her family background made her feel insecure, and the demands of her academic and personal life left little time for romance. Bing didn't give up, however, and quietly supported Shannon as she faced challenges. They also shared many interests in their field of study. Eventually, Shannon began to accept Bing's affection, and they grew closer. When Shannon's undergraduate studies were coming to an end, her teacher encouraged her to pursue graduate studies. With a common goal in mind, Bing and Shannon both worked hard and were accepted into the polymer chemistry graduate program at Nankai University. While Shannon was excited about the opportunity, she hesitated to tell her father, knowing that her family wanted her to find a job and send money home. Her younger brother had struggled with epilepsy and had to change jobs several times before returning to the village to farm with their father. When Zhao learned that Shannon planned to continue her studies, he called her several times to scold and discourage her, insisting that she find a job quickly to help with her brother's medical expenses. Shannon pleaded with him, explaining that she could still send money home every month while she continued her studies. She promised to take care of her brother in the future. Reluctantly, Zhao agreed. In order to keep her promise, Shannon had to cut back on her expenses and send money home from her scholarship. When Bing heard about this, he decided to stand by Shannon and support her financially. Bing came from an ordinary working-class family in Tianjin, and his parents were very easygoing. They all appreciated Shannon's dedication and hard work. Shannon felt welcomed and loved by Bing's family. In 1997, shortly after graduating from graduate school, the couple decided to get married. But Zhao objected again, believing that his daughter would no longer care for her parents after marriage, especially if she had children of her own, and would no longer send money home. Unable to prevent the marriage, Zhao demanded that Bing pay a dowry before they could marry. The wedding was held in Tianjin, with all expenses paid by Bing's parents. Zhao, his wife, and his son did not attend the wedding. In the early 1990s, during the early stages of China's reform and opening up, studying abroad became a dream for many students seeking a better future. Shannon and Bing applied together to Ph.D. programs at American universities. Shannon quickly received a full scholarship to Texas Tech University in the United States, based on her excellent academic performance, while Bing's application was unsuccessful. Faced with his daughter's decision to continue her studies and even go abroad, Zhao was extremely angry, but couldn't stop her. On the other hand, Bing's parents were very supportive. They gave Shannon their savings of 22,000 RMB, about $2,600, to help her buy a plane ticket and clothes, which deeply moved Shannon. In 1998, Shannon went to the United States alone. 6 months later, Bing's application was accepted, but he changed his major and didn't get a scholarship. Soon after, the two were reunited in the US, and Bing enrolled in the master's program in computer science at Texas Tech University. Their life there was very hard and challenging, Their only income was Shannon's $1,100 monthly scholarship, which also covered Bing's tuition. In 1999, at the age of 27, Shannon found out she was pregnant. She was surprised and worried. To ease the financial burden, Bing started working at a restaurant. About 20 days after their son was born, Shannon returned to work at the lab. They had to use daycare for their son, which added to their financial stress because of the high cost. At this point, Bing's parents offered to take care of the child. When their son was over 50 days old, he was sent back to Tianjin. To save money on airfare, Shannon and Bing didn't bring their child back to China themselves. Instead, they asked a friend who was returning to China to bring their son. In the 3 years leading up to 2002, Bing's parents paid for all of their grandson's expenses without asking Shannon and Bing for money. Meanwhile, Shannon's father, Zhao, showed no concern for her. He thought she must be living well in the US and kept writing letters asking for money, claiming that Shannon had promised to support the family. Each time, Shannon had to scrape money from her living expenses to send to her father. Over the years, Zhao used the money to renovate the family's old house, but neither he nor his wife ever visited Tianjin to see their grandson. By the end of 2001, Shannon and Bing had graduated. Shannon got a job offer from Johnson & Johnson for about $60,000 a year, so they moved to the East Coast. After a while, Bing also found a job paying $36,000 a year, starting in April 2002. At the age of 30, Shannon finally finished all her studies and got a good job. Her new life in the US with Bing was about to begin. They planned to visit their parents in China before Bing's job started and bring their son to live with them in the US. On March 18, 2002, they were reunited with their son in Tianjin. Shannon was very grateful to Bing's parents for caring for their son. She gave them $10,000 as a token of appreciation for their support. After learning that his daughter had returned to China, Zhao called Shannon several times, urging her to come home. Shannon had planned to take her son to meet her parents for the first time. She thought her father would be happy to see his grandson. But just before boarding the train, her son couldn't stop crying. Maybe it was because he had only been with them for 4 days and still felt unfamiliar and did not want to leave his grandparents. With the train about to leave, Shannon and Bing had to board the train without their son. On March 23rd, Shannon returned to the small village of Shandong and met her parents. Zhao showed a rare smile when he saw his daughter and son-in-law. Shannon's mother had prepared a table full of food. As they ate, Zhao couldn't wait to make a new request of his daughter. He said, "Your younger brother's epilepsy can't be cured. He is now 28 years old, unemployed and single. In our village, men his age already have children. We've tried to find him a wife several times, but no one is interested. Recently, the family of a young woman from a neighboring village has agreed to accept your brother's situation. The only condition is that we buy an apartment in the county town for 80,000 yuan, about $9,600. When can you send me the money?" Shannon knew that her father would ask her for money. She told Zhao, "I have $1,600 that I can give to the family for now. Buying an apartment is not possible right now. This is all the money I have." Zhao then suggested, "How about giving $3,000 for emergencies?" Shannon honestly explained that she and her husband had just graduated and hadn't saved much money. Their expenses in the US were high, and after paying for their plane tickets and giving $10,000 to her in-laws, they had no money left. They couldn't afford to buy an apartment now. Zhao was upset that Shannon had money for her in-laws, but not for him, and brought up Shannon's promise to take care of her brother. Shannon explained that she really had no money left. She had sent a lot of money to help build the family's new house and yard, and she had done her best. Bing, tired of his father-in-law's demands, told Zhao, "You are a father, not an emperor. You can't always get what you want." Hearing this, Zhao angrily slammed the door and left. For the next 3 days, while they stayed at home, Zhao insisted that Shannon buy an apartment for her brother. Shannon kept saying no, which made Zhao feel increasingly resentful. He thought his son-in-law was making a fool of him, and he was surprised that his usually compliant daughter was so adamant in her refusal. He felt it was unfair that she would give money to her in-laws, but not to him. On March 26, 2002, Shannon and Bing planned to catch a train back to Tianjin that afternoon. In the morning, Zhao asked his wife to try again to convince their daughter. Shannon said, "Life in the US is hard for us too. Give me some time to get settled, and I'll still send you financial help." In Zhao's mind, this was his ultimatum to Shannon. He thought his worst fear had come true. His daughter was completely out of his control. After she left this time, she wouldn't listen to him or give him money. His son wouldn't be able to find a wife, and his family line would end. This overwhelming anger caused him to lose his mind. In the early afternoon, while Shannon and Bing were taking a nap in the bedroom, Zhao checked to make sure they were asleep, then grabbed an axe and went into the room, striking more than 30 times in a fit of rage. Minutes later, a bloodied Zhao walked out of the room with the axe and sat down in the yard. Soon neighbors called the police. On July 4, 2002, the court in Yantai City, Shandong Province, held a trial on the case. Bing's mother was in tears, but Zhao appeared calm. He calmly admitted to killing his daughter Shannon and son-in-law Bing. When asked why he did it, he said, "Such a daughter is heartless and deserves to die. I regret letting her study for so many years." When Bing's mother questioned him, he simply said, "I have nothing to say. I just want to die quickly." On July 25, 2002, Zhao Yuling was sentenced to death for murder. 3 months later, at the age of 57, Zhao was executed by firing squad. He showed no remorse before his death. After Zhao's execution, Shannon's brother and uncle, who was her mother's brother, surprisingly sued to claim Shannon's inheritance, the $10,000 she had given to Bing's parents. The court denied their claims. Later, when the court inventoried the couple's belongings, they found that they had only $1,000 left after their return tickets. In the US, they had only basic necessities. Zhao's wife and son later moved away from the village. Zhao's wife found a job in a garment factory, while his son struggled to get a steady job. Shannon was a victim of the traditional Chinese mentality that favors sons over daughters. In her father's eyes, she was not seen as an independent person, but rather as a tool to be used. She was treated like a servant in her childhood, and later became a source of money, like an ATM. Although her father worked hard to earn money for her education, he saw her as an investment that had to pay off. Her mother, who didn't protect her daughter, was an accomplice in the tragedy. Her brother, who was spoiled, grew up believing that his sister would take care of him, so he felt taken for granted by his sister. To get away from her parents and rural life, Shannon saw college as her way out. From high school on, her life was filled with studying and working to make money, leaving her no time to relax. While her parents pushed her, she pushed herself. According to Shannon's friends, they never traveled during their 4+ years in the US, except for one business trip to Dallas, where they briefly enjoyed the scenery on the way. Shannon's son was sent back to China just over 50 days after birth and didn't see his parents until he was over 3 years old. They spent only 4 days together before being separated indefinitely. Perhaps it was a stroke of luck that the boy crying prevented him from boarding the train, perhaps saving his life. In Chinese families, the lines are often blurred. Parents may feel that they have the power to both create and destroy their children. The culture of filial piety can make it difficult for children to break free, even when they feel oppressed, controlled, or hurt. They may fear moral judgment and gossip from others. Life is short, so it's important to distance yourself from toxic people, even if they're your parents. What do you think of this case? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel.